Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning. Good Sunday morning. It is I, the Earth Master, out here on this Sunday, end of the weekend, April 2nd, 2023. It's about 10:44 a.m. here along the West Coast in California. The latest quake, let's see, what do we got? 2.0 around the Turkey area. No surprise there. Also 3.5 right there in the mix as well. Continued aftershock activity ramping up into that area of the world. Looking at the current seismograph stations out here, shows a little bit of movement into Southern California as we speak. A little small microquake activity. Also into Yellowstone, they're still seeing a little bit of a microquake swarming into the Lake Yellowstone area. That's going to be this bottom station here. Notice these very small earthquakes that are listed up there on the graph there. The latest map here shows some of that smaller movement across the borehole area of Lake Yellowstone. But aside from that, looks like we're entering into a little pause of the earthquake swarm here at Yellowstone. Not seeing any major uptick. All right, getting back to the earthquake activity here. Globally, starting off here on the West Coast. Have we seen any movement out here in the Cascadia overnight? Doesn't look like it. Although, yeah, I guess that would be today. As soon as I speak it, it pops into existence. I actually just missed this one. 2.8. This one coming in about 4 o'clock in the morning, 20 kilometers deep. That is just upstream of the tremor, which occurs much further down into the subduction zone. So still seeing a little bit of activity overnight with this movement. 2.8, 20 kilometers deep. See what we got over here by Redding. This one coming in looks like earlier this morning as well, about 7 o'clock at 2.2. A little bit of shallow earthquake activity. Crustal quakes south of Mount Shasta, 11 kilometers for a 2.2. This one out here around the Blanco fracture zone from last night. Remember this one? This one a 4.2 from yesterday. And of course, we had another 4-pointer last night, right around the update time, 4.6, off the coast of the Queen Charlotte Sound area, BC or Canada region. And this here was just shy of the Cascadia, which sits over here to the east. All right, let's see what else we have here across the West Coast. Still kind of watching it. Quiet conditions across the Bay Area for now. San Francisco Bay looks fairly quiet. A little bit of movement here along the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. Most of this here from yesterday, though. We only had one earthquake after midnight at 1.0 within that same location. And a little bit further down south into the Bodfish area. A 2.1 coming in within the last hour, 4.9 kilometers deep. Southern California, a little spotty here today, although we're still seeing some movement around the Palomar Observatory, Palomar Mountain area. Remember, this area has seen a little bit of swarming here over the past couple days. Looking at the last 7 days of all magnitudes, there's that swarming around that region. They also did pick up a 4-pointer, 4.2. So a little bit of aftershock activity. We'll see if this turns into a big deal as far as long-term earthquake swarm goes. We did see one last year within that same area. Lots and lots of earthquakes. I was tempted to drive down there and see what was going on around this area. It was about midsummer. Had a lot of fires out here as well. But right about the time I decided to go down there, the swarm completely stopped. So we'll keep an eye on that. If that continues, I may go down there, investigate, see what's going on around that area. The San Andreas Fault, fairly quiet for now. Not a whole lot popping off on it right now. Rest of the country looks fairly clear. A little bit of activity across the Texas area from yesterday, a couple 2s and some 3s. So what do we got here for new activity? Hawaii, got anything new going on up here? Got one earthquake up on the top of Mauna Loa, about 8 kilometers deep, a 2.9 coming in within the last hour. Most of the movement here across the Pahala and the Kilauea Volcano area, all from last night or early this morning. All right. Alaska. Let's see what's going on up here in the beautiful state of Alaska. Doesn't look like there's too much movement. A couple earthquakes here within the last hour of 2.5 magnitude. Aside from that, no major swarming. Volcanoes look like they've kind of tapered off here across the Tanaga area. Japan Trench, one earthquake from last night, 4.4. The Kuro Kamachaka Trench here, very quiet once again as we enter into the remainder of the weekend. Philippine Plate, fairly quiet until we get down into the Philippine Trench and the Molucca Sea, Banda Sea area. Indonesia Islands all seeing quite a bit of uptick here today. Looks like mostly 3s, 4s, but I do see a 5-pointer in there, so let's see what's going on here. There is that 5.5 in Flores Sea, Indonesia, along this plate boundary, about 18 kilometers deep. Further east here, around New Guinea, did have some movement. All this activity actually after midnight, mostly 4s, all relatively shallow. And of course there's a lot more in that mix there, as noted, quite a few 2s up in here as well. Let's see here, nothing going on across the Java Trench for the remainder of it. Andaman Sea area pretty quiet as well. Back over here, still waiting for some movement. Well, let's see, what did they do here? Is this an older quake? Yeah, that's a little older quake here from yesterday, 4.5, late afternoon time period. But I'm still waiting for some movement down here south of the Santa Cruz Islands with this deeper movement quake sequence that we seen yesterday. Just about ready to drop off the 24-hour map, by the way. Nothing kicking up here yet. Deeper earthquakes into the subduction zone. See if there's anything kicking up here on the globe. Doesn't look like it. So we'll continue to watch this area here for some potential movement. There was some older activity, it looks like. 4.7. Yeah, what is that? Potentially 4.9 in this area. But either way, we'll watch this region here, considering that deeper activity from yesterday. A lot of deeper movement in Fiji yesterday, and it looks like that is continuing as well today. Not in Fiji, but this area right here is technically the Tonga Trench. The subduction zone starts over here. And of course, the further left within this area that you go, the deeper the quakes are going to be. This is one of the most active, deepest quake regions in the world. This is kind of seems like this is where it all starts, the sequence of earthquakes. Looking at the map here, the darker circles indicating the deeper regions of the Tonga Trench, the Kermadec Trench down here as well. And if you look across the map here, this is a pretty awesome feature. You can see where a lot of subduction zones are. The Kuro Kamachaka Trench, Japan Trench, Izu Trench over here. Mariana Trench gets some deeper quakes as well, just not as many. And of course the Java Trench is a major player. So you get to see kind of where all the deep subduction zone levels are. And somewhere, you know, some of these are the most active areas around the globe and produce the largest earthquakes. All right, let's see here. Moving on south, the Kermadec Islands area. Well, that's well north of there. 4.9 coming in last night, 165 kilometers deep. Nothing going on upstream here. New Zealand looks fairly quiet according to the USGS. There's a 3.2. I believe that was from this morning. Let's go ahead and check out the drums here. I'm going to refresh this and see what we have. A little bit of smaller earthquake activity here. Across North Island, it looks like. There's that 3-pointer that we were just talking about. Looks like a couple hours ago. Aside from that, no major movement being reported here across the area. Volcanic drums should show roughly about the same thing. Maybe a little bit more across this area around this specific volcano. All right, I'm moving on here. By the way, it's a beautiful Sunday out here in California. No rain yet. Got a chance of maybe some thunderstorms here later this afternoon. Most of the rain being kept far to the north of our region today. giving us a chance to dry out. And even in the extended forecast, they're showing potential for some 80s. Talking about mid 80s here in Northern California. Should have been in that by now, but hey, I'm not going to complain about the wet weather that we've had all winter. All right, there's a movement here around Turkey. Getting a 2.0 coming in as we speak. Mediterranean region somewhat active as well. A couple twos across the area. The Atlantic Ocean, awfully quiet. Goodness, it's been very quiet. Of course, these are the divergent boundaries out here in many different fracture zones. Not quite as active, obviously, as where we see, the other fault systems out here, the other fault plate boundaries. All right, South America region. Let's see what we have. Looks like one of these here from this morning, 177 kilometers deep for that 4.6 underneath Argentina. Getting a swarm of earthquake activity, it looks like, into the Peru-Chile Trench. Some 2s and 3s and 4s all scattered out and about. Also the Middle America Trench area showing some elevated conditions. And Costa Rica as well. So somewhat technically active out here across these plates. And if we include yesterday's activity, that, obviously the West Coast would be included in that. So broader scale uptick here across the region over the last 24 hours. We'll kind of keep an eye on that today and see how it plays out. Let's see here. We checked out Yellowstone. We'll check out space weather here real quick and see what we have. I know there's not a lot. Looking pretty minimal. Fairly minimal. I say that pretty word a lot. Looking pretty minimal. Fairly minimal. Below the sea level. Well, not the sea level, but the sea X-flare category. Notice the sea category right here. It's been well below there for a little bit. That's indicative there of very minimal activity here across the sun. We are getting a new sunspot region here on the southeastern limb, but just looking at it does not, it looks large, but it does not look like it's anything of noteworthy potential. Not a whole lot of complex structure here. Kind of hard to tell with this sunspot here. This one may be going through a little phase of redevelopment, looking like a little bit of structure starting to build there. We'll keep an eye on that one. That one is facing the Earth directly. It's not really popping off anything currently, but we'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be the sunspot here in the UV filter. Notice the brightness here starting to peak up a little bit. We'll watch that throughout the day today. So look at this, very low conditions. 25% chance for a sea flare. Are we in the solar minimum? No, we're just taking a little break from all the activity here. Maybe the calm before the storm, you never know. We are entering into the solar maximum here in a couple years, and it's we're way ahead of schedule as far as the amount of sunspots and the SFI index there. M flare obviously less than 1%, X flare less than 1% as well. So that is just how it is for now. Looking at the, this is solar cycle 25 progression. You can see here peaking out in the summer of 2025, and then we'll gradually go down into the next cycle. But as you can see, we were way ahead, peaking up here way ahead of the predicted sunspot number. And we've just suddenly took a nosedive here with the lack of activity recently, but don't let that fool you. Notice this trend here is still going up, and that is expected. The predicted SFI, the solar flux index, the energy, so to speak, we're way ahead as well in that category. The predicted line within the red, that red line right there. So yeah, we'll just continue to watch it. A little calm before the storm, I have a feeling. And we'll report back on it if anything does change. Right now, nada. If you're expecting greenery in the sky, it's probably not going to be the auroras. It may be who knows what. But hardly anything going on up there. All right, space weather or storm prediction center here. Looking out here at current day one forecast. Looks like we have a little enhanced activity here across northern Texas. That looks like it does include Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I don't think we have a huge risk of tornadoes, 10% chance within that area. Also, Dallas-Fort Worth region. Looks like hail's going to be a big threat as well, 30% chance for today. Now, tomorrow looks a little bit different. Tuesday. Now, this is not the map from last week where we've seen that severe weather break out in two separate regions here where all that tornado activity kicked up around the Arkansas, Iowa area, Tennessee. This is actually on Tuesday, and they're calling for a very similar setup, not as enhanced yet, but we got to pay attention to this because it's kind of within that same area. Right now, an enhanced area in both of these zones, we have to go through moderate and high to get to where we were a couple days ago here when we had that tornado outbreak. So we'll keep an eye on that as that advances towards that date. All right, let me show you guys here. Let me show you guys our West Coast warm weather coming up. Kind of liking it, no doubt. This here's the windy map, windy.com. Pretty much everything you could think of or want in a weather app. It's got everything from weather radar and satellite to different computer models, and you can select all these different computer models as well, whichever one you want. Here's the wind flow. You got wind gust. I do want to check out temperature because this is pretty cool. I'm ready to jump out in the pool. It's not going to kick up, though, probably until about Friday is when we're going to see the warmer conditions out here. I talked about low 70s here across the valley of Sacramento. And then check this out for the weekend. See right around the afternoon time period. Upper 70s on Sunday. Even warmer, low 80s. Look at Redding, 84 degrees up there for Redding and Red Bluff. The heat down south, look at that, close to 100 degrees down around Yuma. I think we're going to go straight from a long extended winter to a cooking oven. So that's on Sunday. Monday looks about the same as well. Temperatures very warm for Monday. Tuesday, it's a little ways out, but it looks like it's holding steady on those warmer temperatures out here across the West Coast. Low pressure system off way out into the Pacific. And again, some of this is subject to change, but it looks as though summer is wanting to take a grip here across a good portion of the country. Another weather model we can check out here is, let's go to the regions here. Check out the North Pacific, and we're going to use the Assemble EPS model. This shows height anomalies and low pressure anomalies here, indicating some colder, wetter environments. We do have this system we have to worry about here along the West Coast. Right here's California with some colder temperatures, but the heat doesn't start until roughly about there. Notice this high pressure system building in, ridging, so to speak, and this is dry, warm, high pressure. And that kicks up this weekend. It looks like it builds a little bit to see how far it goes out. I don't see any major cold snaps here after this system that we're dealing with kind of right now and tomorrow. This is today and tomorrow's setup. After that, things drying up and some warmer conditions out here for the West Coast. I think a lot of people are ready for it. And goodness, all right. Awesomeness. Alrighty, folks. Hope everyone has a good day and the rest of their weekend. Not much left, but hey, Sundays. I don't know. For me, it's kind of a relaxing day. I may get out here and mow a little bit more. I was outside yesterday trying to get a handle on some of these extreme vegetation that we picked up here. It's just been extremely wet, lengthy winter, and it's allowed the vegetation to get quite high, which is okay. I don't mind it. The kids love to play out in it. It brings bugs, it brings bees, and I'm all about that. I don't want to see a dry dirt field with nothing in it. Not into that. I like the greenery. I'm the earth guy. I'm not the dirt guy. I am. I don't mind dirt, but I like my vegetation green. All right, guys. Enough of the Sunday morning chit chat. We are going to bounce out of here. Hope everyone has a good day. We'll catch you guys back out here later this evening, unless something major happens. Take care. Stay safe, everyone.